Hello and welcome to this episode of Divorce Discussions. And I am so happy to have a guest on here today. And I am going to tell you a little bit about Nur, but I really want you to have the opportunity to have her explain her background and what she does. So Nur Ambreem Ihsanullah is a transformative speaker and healer with over 30 years experience navigating the depths of personal crisis to self-actualization with her clients. She has extensive training in gestalt therapy, family constellations, certifications in energy, shamanic, and spiritual healing systems. Nur has cultivated a unique method for discovering and healing trauma that has its roots so her clients live from their unique soul essence and have the loving relationships they long for in life. Thank you so much for being here. And I know I did not say your name right. And we practiced before we got on here, and I still messed it up.
Mardi, you were great.
Please say your name correctly so our guests know who they're listening to.
It's Nur Ambreem, the short A, Ambreem, and Ihsanullah. You said it pretty close.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for you're being very gracious. Thank you. So, Nur, tell us a little bit about what got you started in this and why. I mean, you have a wide range of credentials and experience. What brought you to this place in life?
My divorce 30 plus years ago. So this is a very appropriate story, Mardi. I was actually also a high school teacher, my first passion and love, high school teacher with English and social sciences for 30 years as well. And my journey into self-healing and my own path began with my divorce after 8 years of marriage, actually 10 years of marriage by the time the divorce came. But we separated at 8 years, and we had been going for marriage counseling and for a full year, and just would come back fighting, and all of the wounds would be raw for both of us. And since then I've discovered that unfortunately, marriage counseling does not have a great track record for success.
It doesn't. Yeah.
And so for me, I was the one that ended the marriage ultimately. Where we don't want to take it to, my feeling was, let's stop while we still care about one another. And we have a 3.5-year-old baby girl, and let's be the best parents we can be for her. And it was heartbreaking for both of us. I mean, nobody imagines that their happily ever after is going to end like that. But I think, Marty, the biggest thing for me was just taking responsibility for myself at that point. I was shattered, but I felt like, okay, we didn't go the distance, but let me get a hold of myself, because it really, who am I was 31 years old, 32 years old at that point. It's like, what is this all about? We've checked all the boxes, we've done all the right things and done our best, both of us. In my case, I was fortunate, we had both done our best, and it just wasn't working for us. And so, yeah, I turned from a social butterfly to a spiritual butterfly, decided to just do all the things. I mean, self-help books, that continued the counseling, ended up, the list of credentials is really my journey of self-healing. And so, in an ironic way, I could say at this point, the divorce was the best thing that happened to me. It put me on my life track, but it's taught me also the getting into doing my counseling degrees and all of the post trainings and certifications. It really taught me a lot about human nature and why don't relationships work. We have an over 50% divorce rate,
right,
in North America, and what is going on? Why can't we make it happen? And how can I help people to really, whether it's the ultimate decision is to leave, to end the marriage, or to stay together. We want to come out of that experience, which is one of the biggest relationships of our life, becoming whole rather than shattered.
Right. Oh, I love this message. And, it's interesting when you were saying your background. So my divorce was almost 30 years ago as well. I did not have children. I wasn't a teacher, but I had been a teacher and was a behavior consultant for school districts when I went through mine. And, a lot of it was very much the same. It wasn't a horrible relationship. It just wasn't the right fit. It wasn't. And I also filed for divorce. So, it's funny how many of our stories, when you say, why does this not work? Well, I work with women going through divorce almost exclusively. And what I hear is it's almost the same story for, probably 70% of my clients have the same story. And what do you attribute that to? I mean, you've done a lot of work since on focusing on this. What do you attribute this high divorce or consistent? It's a consistent 50% divorce rate.
It is, unfortunately, and we all suffer from it, whether it's in both partners and the children, because we invest so much of ourselves into the relationship. So, what do I attribute it to? I really, Marty, I have to say it goes back to um, my giving such a detailed account of my own separation and divorce. Is that I think we don't know ourselves. And so, we all come into this world. There's certain going through the conditioning in our families and our societies and our cultures, and we need love and belonging like we need the air we breathe. We need to be connected to people. That is our natural state, I think. I mean, I always find it amazing when people talk so much about independence. Just a little offside comment is that really we were part of our mother for 9 months. We absorb everything through the womb. I do transgenerational trauma work as well. And so everything is about mom and attachment theory. There's so much on it these days. And so why do we expect that we're going to come out in this world and want to be by ourselves? Of course, we want to be connected to
Right.
people. So what happens, I think, is for many of us, at least certainly in my case too, is we find ways to belong in our families. And whatever the dynamics of our family system are, we find whether it's to become a people pleaser, to become the dominant one, the look at me one. There's we can identify siblings in our families, whether it's the one who's quiet in the corner and shy and needs to be brought out. We all find ways of getting the attention we need, but we're never really encouraged to get to know ourselves, right? So um, here we are at whatever age, and I really don't know what I want and need, because I'm too busy people pleasing out there,
Right.
making sure that I fit in. And so what happens when we get together with a partner? And of course, there's lots of psychology on this as well, but we find the person, and it's the Hollywood version, and this is the one that gets us, that really gets us. But who are they really getting? Because I haven't gotten myself yet.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
So, and both people are looking. So, the deeper psychology of it that I've understood now in time is that both people are really looking for the love they didn't get in their families from their mom, dad, parents, caregivers. But primarily mom. It comes back to mom a lot because that is the closest person to us. We're part of her.
Right.
So what we didn't get, what didn't work, we're looking for that ideal in the other one. And of course, there's lots of psychology around we're attracted to the qualities in the other person, which we haven't developed in ourselves. So, I like to say when the honeymoon's over, as the saying goes, and the lights turn on and no more candlelight, and we look around and we go, well, where did that person go?
Exactly. Who is this person?
There's some stranger here. Unfortunately, the veneer is off.
Right.
We were all on our best behavior and we were trying to do all the right things. And of course, we love each other and we care, but now we're facing a stranger in our home
Right.
and we're
Right.
not getting along. They're not getting us anymore. They just want what they want. They don't want what we want.
Yeah. And I think it's scary sometimes when I see really young people, go from even high school, maybe take 1 or 2 years of college, get in a serious relationship, get married, have kids. They got 5 kids, they're 26 years of age, and they're so focused on just getting through the day-to-day stuff. But at some point in time, and they may be working very hard together to meet those goals and those daily requirements. But at some point in time, somebody gets a great job, or, the kids get old enough and both parents are now working. And all of a sudden now there's this big, well, what do we do with our time? And what do we do with our energy? And we don't have the same goals anymore. We're going in different directions. And I always worry so much about that, Nur, when I see that happening to couples. And it happens to couples that get married older in life or later in life as well, but particularly with the people who get married really young.
That's you've said it. You've just articulated the whole journey. And I think back in the day when marriages lasted for 50, 60 years, if people live that long, it was really about the compromise. There was no real expectation around having, the best lover, the best friend, the best everything in your one person that you've married. It was about a good provider and a good homemaker, and it was about raising the children and the family. More so, much more so than it is today. Today we do look to self-actualize. We many of us have been given a lot in our lives, and yes, it allows us the freedom to really delve deep into ourselves.
Right.
And so then if you're self-actualizing and you're drifting apart because you don't even know the person you've been with for the last 20, 30 years, it's really unfortunate. I think it's sad, because I think that there is, especially in the first love or first person that we really connect with, the first love is the deepest, and the first cut is the deepest. There is something there meant for us to really discover together. And if we don't connect with that person, or we move on, really the theory goes, and I think it's true, frankly, that we just keep getting the same person in a different body and a different personality, right? So as much as possible, it's wonderful if we could realize and surrender to the learning part of the relationship, that this love and this connection is really an opportunity to get to know ourselves within the union. And also that there are two families, two lineages that come into play here that, of course, impact the one-on-one between us, but also there's something for each of our families to get from our union. Right. And for our children then, right? So I really do couples counseling very differently. And I explain to people that the finger they're pointing out there's 3 coming back at you. Usually what we're complaining about in the other person is really in us as well.
Sure.
And if you're willing to suspend the ego a little bit and really dive into deeper love with one another, we can really start to do our own deeper work. So I usually work with couples and I say, look, if you're willing to do each of you your own inner work around the issues that have brought you to this place, most times, more often than not, we don't even need the couple sessions, because once we've created that relief inside ourselves and start to meet our own needs and understand ourselves better, now suddenly we have bandwidth, as people say, for the other person.
Exactly. And this is such a lovely conversation, because I work with so many clients who have been in couples counseling, and we're told that this is the way. And it may be couples counseling through, their employer assistance program. It may be couples counseling through their church or religious institution. It may be couples counseling that they just pick somebody like off the internet and do it. And what I hear the most is, I felt like the counselor was blaming me and was giving the partner a pass, or I felt that, the counselor or the therapist wanted us to live their life, like what they thought our life should look like. And I'm hearing you say this, and how positive is this, that in order to me to be better for you, I need to be better for me, right? I need to really get my ducks in a row before I can work on anything in the relationship. I love that idea.
Well, thanks, Marty. That was the biggest lesson, I think, post-divorce and within the pain of or the separation, that the first thought, thankfully, the first thought that I had, the deepest thought was, I really need to get solid inside myself. I
Right.
can sit here. I'm not interested in blaming him. I'm not interested in pathologizing the whole thing.
Right.
We're both saddened and heartbroken from it. And
Right.
he certainly was too. But there are certain things that brought us to that place where this break happened, and I can only deal with it inside me. I can't change him. Like, that whole thing, Marty, we are taught, somehow that we have control over the universe.
Right. Yeah.
We never look to take a hold of ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, this is a really powerful message. And I think the other powerful side of the message that you're telling us is, or that you're sharing with us, is that you can be two really good people, and it just could just not be the right combination, and that you shouldn't carry any shame with that. And that's what bothers me the most, I think, about a lot of the kind of the external stuff around the divorce, the pressure the families put, the pressure perhaps from religious institutes, the pressure from, communities, from aunts and uncles, from whoever. This is a deeply personal decision, and people don't just walk out of marriage. Some people do, but most people don't just walk out of marriage. It's just like, well, I've just decided it's over. I get so frustrated when I have to hear clients say, well, my family thinks I've given up. My family thinks I didn't work hard enough. Your family doesn't know what you've gone through, and you need to know why you're making the decisions, but you just shouldn't have to explain it to anybody else except for your partner. I think that.
I agree. Absolutely. That's really, really important what you've said, because that's again going back to the outside world judging us, labeling us, deciding what's going on. I mean, even with myself, I wasn't in a place where I had a lot of anger in that moment with my ex-husband, but certainly other people thought I should be outraged. Outraged about what?
Right. Right.
Wow. And so, yeah, it can go both ways. And in my case, the person who walks away, there's somebody has to sort of, usually it's one person, it's not always mutual.
Yep.
That person is carrying the load for that decision. It's
Right.
almost easier for the person is at the receiving end, because they are in a sense the wronged one, or let's
Right.
say they're in a more powerful position. The person who actually takes a hold of the decision, whether it's whoever it is in the relationship, um, now there's even more to work through.
Yeah. Yes.
Right? You know that because you went through similar experience as I did, you said, and that the working through, especially in my case, people telling me over and over again what a great guy he is.
Right.
I'm telling you, Marty, it was hilarious to me. Even 10 years after the fact, or whatever, the family, oh, he's just so wonderful. Yes, he is.
Yes.
Just didn't work for me.
It's not for me. Yes, exactly.
And I think the other little detail there, that the reason why I work the way I do is it's sad. Actually, it's a very sad situation, is that the marriage counseling didn't work, because really he had a lot of baggage and pain from his childhood and his past. And it was too painful for him to address. And
Right.
maybe it wasn't his journey.
Yeah.
And ultimately, then I had to decide, am I going to stay with this under these circumstances or not?
Right.
And the sad thing is that he's never made those decisions at
Right.
any point in time. And I think that's the most painful thing for me to see personally, as well as with clients. If you have one partner, it is a partnership, it's teamwork. If one person's unwilling to look inside themselves and take responsibility for their own stuff, then we do have a problem.
Yeah.
Because one person can't sometimes in marriages, one person does hold it together, but at their own expense.
Yes.
So it's not an ideal. It's supposed to be a give and take.
Yeah.
And so again, it comes back to having something to give and knowing what you need.
Right.
In reciprocal kind of situation. What do you?
Yes. Yes, and thank you for this. I mean, such a lovely presentation of a really complicated decision that people have to make. Nur, if people want to find out more about you, if they want to get hold of you, what is the best way to do that?
My website, Soul to Soul Counseling, just the way it is on my .com. I offer a 45-minute consult. So if people are interested in just speaking to me about what they're going through and whether we're a good fit to work together, I'd love to have you contact me.
Well, thank you so much for sharing this, and definitely looking forward to having a more in-depth conversation with you coming up in 2025. So, if you're listening into this YouTube channel little video, make sure you listen to the podcast, The D Shift, because you can hear more. Take care and have a wonderful day.
Marty, thank you so much.
Thank you.